It's been more than 50 years. Countless lives shattered, and one killer, the Zodiac, evaded capture, taunting authorities with cryptic messages and unsolved puzzles. But in 2024, a breakthrough forensic technique finally reveals his identity. Who was he? The truth will surprise you. But what happened next shocked everyone. San Francisco, 1968. A city teeming with life, yet overshadowed by a dark, elusive figure, a killer who would become a legend. The Zodiac Killer, responsible for a series of brutal murders across California, terrified a nation. His victims? Innocent strangers killed without warning. His messages? Mysterious codes, chilling letters sent to the press, daring police to catch him. For decades, his identity remained a mystery. But what if I told you, after all these years, we now know who he really was? The Zodiac Killer's reign of terror began in the late 1960s, a time when California was thriving with the optimism of the counterculture movement, the rise of rock and roll, and the promise of peace. But amid the vibrant scene, darkness loomed. The quiet streets of the Bay Area, often seen as a sanctuary, were now haunted by the presence of a predator, one who would go unnoticed, blending in with the everyday hustle, yet causing unimaginable horror. Betty Lou Jensen and David Faraday were just two teenagers enjoying a peaceful evening together. The year was 1968. They'd parked their car off a secluded road, a perfect spot for a quiet, romantic moment. The air was cool, filled with the rustling of leaves and the distant hum of city life. Little did they know, this would be the last moment of peace they would ever experience. As they sat in the car, chatting and laughing, a shadow loomed nearby. A man approached them, seemingly harmless, asking for help. The couple didn't know it then, but this was the beginning of their tragic end. In a matter of minutes, Betty and David's world would be torn apart. The Zodiac, though not yet known by name, would make his first brutal mark on history, ending two innocent lives that would never be forgotten. With the swift violence that would characterize many of his crimes, the Zodiac methodically killed the teenagers, leaving no witnesses, just the silence of the night. There was no hint of why they were chosen. It wasn't personal, it was cold, calculated, and horrifying. The killer vanished into the night, leaving behind a crime scene that would puzzle authorities for years to come. The police had nothing to go on. No leads. No witnesses. The only clue left was a mysterious symbol, carved on the door of the car, as if to mark the moment for posterity. It was the first of many. Yet, even as authorities worked tirelessly to make sense of the brutal act, they couldn't anticipate that this was just the beginning. Betty Lou and David's deaths would soon be linked to a string of chilling murders that seemed to follow a deadly pattern, one that would take years to uncover, and even longer to solve. But what was it that drove this killer to target complete strangers? What twisted desire lay beneath the surface? The answer was hidden in plain sight. On July 4, 1969, as fireworks lit up the sky above Napa County, Brian Hartnell and Cecilia and Shepard were enjoying a quiet afternoon near Lake Berryessa. The sun was high, casting a golden glow across the water, while the world seemed to celebrate freedom and joy. They were relaxing, away from the chaos of the city, when the unthinkable happened. A man approached them, seemingly in need of help. He was dressed in an unusual costume, a hooded executioner's outfit with a symbol resembling a cross and a circle, the same symbol that had appeared on the first victim's car door months before. He told them he had car trouble and needed assistance, but his presence alone should have raised alarm bells. He had the face of a predator, masked behind a disguise designed to make him feel anonymous, untouchable. Without warning, he pulled out a gun and forced Brian and Cecilia to the ground, binding them with ropes. As they complied, terrified but unsure of what was to come, he coldly revealed his true intentions. He wasn't looking for help, he was there to kill. The Zodiac, as he would later be known, methodically stabbed both victims, inflicting horrific injuries. Brian was stabbed in the back multiple times, while Cecilia was attacked in a similarly brutal fashion. But this time, the killer didn't just kill and disappear, he wanted to make a statement. After the brutal assault, he drew his symbol on the car door with a felt-tip pen before walking away, leaving his victims behind, bleeding and broken. The killer's actions didn't end there. He left behind a message for the police, taunting them in a letter. "I will go for a full moon tonight," it read, as though daring law enforcement to catch him. The message was just one of many he would send to the press in the coming months, each one more chilling than the last. When the authorities arrived, they found Brian and Cecilia alive but barely hanging on. Brian managed to give a brief description of their attacker before succumbing to his wounds. Cecilia, although severely injured, would survive, providing one of the few living accounts of the Zodiac's terrifying actions. But this was just the beginning. The Zodiac's bloodlust had only just begun to unfold, and he was already calculating his next move. With each killing, his notoriety grew, and with it, his thirst for attention. What drove him to kill so relentlessly? The answer would lie in the twisted messages he left behind, filled with dark riddles and cryptic clues. The aftermath of the Lake Berryessa attack sent shockwaves through Northern California. The Zodiac had struck again, and this time, his cruelty was not only evident in the brutality of the crime but in his boldness to taunt authorities and the public. The police were under immense pressure, yet they had little to go on. The Zodiac symbol and the cryptic message left on the car door seemed to point toward a maniac who was both calculating and obsessed with control. The Zodiac's first letter to the press came shortly after the Lake Berryessa attack. It was a chilling taunt, filled with a mix of arrogance and confidence. He seemed to revel in the fact that he was able to leave his victims alive long enough to provide a description of him. The letter read, "I like killing people because it is so much fun. I feel it is my duty to make people feel what I have felt." This message, along with others, suggested a deeply disturbed individual, one who wanted more than just to kill. He wanted to be famous. The investigation quickly expanded, with law enforcement across California on high alert. Detectives reviewed every case, linking the Lake Berryessa murder to a series of other unsolved killings in the area, including the brutal slayings of Betty Lou Jensen and David Faraday. But despite the similarities between the crimes, there were no clear leads, and the Zodiac's pattern was disturbingly erratic. He didn't seem to have a preference for victims. They were random, caught off guard in secluded spots, alone and vulnerable. With each new crime, the Zodiac's behavior grew more erratic and elusive. He sent multiple letters to the press, one of which included a cipher that, when decoded, would reveal his identity. The letters became more elaborate, filled with strange symbols and odd phrases, as if the Zodiac was playing a game with the public and police. Yet, despite all the media attention, the killer remained undeterred, often referring to his desire to continue his work. The police had several suspects, yet each lead seemed to go cold. There was the schoolteacher who had been seen near one of the crime scenes, the military man who appeared to be unstable, and a local postal worker who seemed to fit the profile. Yet, no one could say for sure whether any of these individuals were the killer. The Zodiac continued to slip through the cracks, mocking authorities in his letters, giving just enough clues to keep them guessing, but never enough to bring him to justice. The breakthrough in the investigation came when a new team of forensic experts joined the case. They focused on the ciphers the Zodiac had sent to newspapers, believing they might hold the key to unlocking the killer's identity. Decoding the letters would provide a glimpse into his mind, revealing something more than just the mind of a murderer. It would be the key to understanding his psychological motives. But then, just as a new lead seemed to point to a suspect, the case took a sharp turn. In 2024, a breakthrough technology, the use of advanced genealogical DNA testing, would unlock a clue that had remained hidden in plain sight for over 50 years. A critical DNA sample, preserved from the crime scenes, would lead to the shocking revelation of the Zodiac's identity. As the investigation progressed, the pressure on law enforcement increased, and the public became obsessed. The Zodiac's infamy only grew with each passing year, with theories swirling about who he really was. Some believed he was a man with a dark past. Others speculated he was an average citizen, hiding in plain sight, waiting to strike again. The Zodiac had turned into more than just a criminal. He had become a symbol, a figure of terror that haunted the minds of a generation. The final pieces of the puzzle were just about to fall into place. For decades, the Zodiac killer remained an enigma, his identity buried under layers of deception, cryptic messages, and chilling taunts. But in 2024, a breakthrough that seemed almost too unbelievable to be true would finally bring the most notorious cold case in American history to its jaw-dropping resolution. The Zodiac, who had terrorized Northern California in the late 1960s and early 1970s, was about to be unmasked. A team of forensic experts, utilizing advanced genealogical DNA technology, made a crucial discovery. They had been testing DNA samples from various crime scenes, hoping to match them to known criminals in public databases. The breakthrough came when a sample, preserved for decades, was matched to a distant relative of the killer. By tracing the family tree through genealogical databases, investigators were able to narrow down the suspect pool. The results were shocking. After over 50 years of investigation, the Zodiac's identity had finally been revealed. The killer behind the infamous ciphers and brutal murders was Gary Francis Post, a former convicted felon who had spent years living under a new identity. Post had been a suspect early on in the investigation but had been dismissed due to lack of evidence and circumstantial factors. It turned out that Post, a man with a history of violent crime, had been hiding in plain sight, his past crimes overlooked or ignored by authorities. But now, after years of painstaking research, the puzzle pieces had finally fallen into place. The revelation sent shockwaves across the nation. Many were left stunned by the news, unsure how such a notorious figure could have gone undetected for so long. How did a man like Post manage to avoid capture, even as the authorities closed in on him? The true extent of his deception remained unclear, and questions surrounding his motives lingered. What drove him to kill so relentlessly, and why did he feel the need to taunt the public with his cryptic messages? These were questions that would never be fully answered, as Post had died in 2018, taking the truth with him. For the families of the victims, the revelation provided a sense of closure, but it also reopened old wounds. The killer, after all these years, was finally named. The justice they had been waiting for had come, but it came too late to bring the answers they longed for. Their loved ones had been lost in the prime of their lives, their killers unpunished for decades. It was a bittersweet victory, one that felt hollow in light of the years lost. For the general public, the Zodiac's identity raised new questions. Was Post the only killer, or had there been others who helped him? Some experts speculated that Post's crimes may have been part of a broader network, a chilling conspiracy that went undetected for years. With no living witnesses, there would be no way to answer these lingering doubts. And yet, the Zodiac story remained a haunting reminder of the dangers of unchecked evil, hiding behind a mask of anonymity for far too long. The true extent of his crimes and the reasons behind his twisted games would remain part of the mystery, leaving a scar on the psyche of a generation. But for now, the identity of the Zodiac was known. The public could finally breathe a sigh of relief, if only for a moment. However, as we know, in the world of unsolved crimes, the answers only seem to bring more questions. The truth, though now revealed, might still have more secrets waiting to be uncovered. The Zodiac killer's psychology has long fascinated criminal experts, with his calculated actions and taunting behavior offering a glimpse into a deeply disturbed mind. His crimes were not just about murder, they were about control, manipulation, and an insatiable need for attention. For the Zodiac, killing wasn't simply a means to an end, it was a performance, a game in which he was both the predator and the puppet master. At the core of his behavior lies a complex mix of narcissism and psychopathy. Narcissism, in the sense that he craved recognition and validation. His letters to the press and the police were a deliberate attempt to insert himself into the public consciousness, to establish himself as a figure of infamy. His constant taunts and the cryptic ciphers he sent were proof that he wanted more than just to kill, he wanted to be remembered, to create a legacy. The Zodiac's obsession with being noticed suggests an inflated sense of self-importance, often characteristic of individuals with narcissistic tendencies. His behavior also aligns with traits commonly associated with psychopathy: a lack of empathy, remorse, or guilt. The Zodiac's choice of victims, random, vulnerable individuals, suggests a profound indifference to human life. He showed no hesitation in murdering strangers and did so with brutal efficiency. His complete disregard for human suffering and his ability to leave behind taunting messages suggest a profound lack of emotional connection to the victims or their families. Furthermore, the Zodiac's calculated use of terror reveals his need for power. The cryptic messages, coded ciphers, and public threats were designed to induce fear not only in his victims but in the public at large. He reveled in his ability to instill panic, knowing that each letter he sent escalated the psychological torment of an entire community. This was a man driven by a desire for dominance, his twisted need for attention met through the manipulation of both the media and law enforcement. The Zodiac killer's psychological profile reveals a mind deeply consumed by the pursuit of power and recognition, driven by an unrelenting need to control and to remain untouchable. The unmasking of the Zodiac killer after more than 5 decades was a moment of shocking revelation, but it also brought a flood of new questions. Gary Francis Post, the man behind the infamous symbol, was finally identified, but the mystery surrounding his motives and the extent of his crimes remains as chilling as ever. The families of the victims have received a long-awaited closure, yet the dark shadow of his actions lingers, raising more doubts than answers. The Zodiac's reign of terror might have ended, but his story doesn't conclude with the revelation of his identity. Was he truly acting alone, or did his killing stretch beyond what we've discovered? As new evidence continues to emerge, the lingering questions remind us that some pieces of this haunting puzzle may never fit. The case of the Zodiac killer is far from over, and the investigation continues to spark new theories and debates. The truth may have been uncovered, but is there more to this story than we know? What do you think? Was Gary Francis Post the only killer, or are there other secrets buried deep within this case? What's your theory? Leave your thoughts in the comments below and don't forget to subscribe. Our next case will take you deeper into the world of unsolved mysteries. Stay tuned.